Good morning and welcome to our first Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce tech series and our first online event delivering our tech series. Normally we have a tech after 5 and so this is a tech at 11, and this is jointly hosted by the Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce and the BNZ partners, who are a platinum partner of the Hutt Valley Chamber. And many of you will know Phil Patterson. Phil co-hosts these events with us in the evenings 4 times a year, but it's just having a few technical issues this morning. So I'll be covering for Phil. The BNZ are a very active supporter of the Chamber and our business community, and we thank them for their continued involvement and support. So this event is all about recognising the outstanding changes and shifts our wider business community is continuously making due to the impacts of COVID-19. And as we all move into level 2 today, which is a great feeling, it's a pleasure to introduce you to Mark Wilson. Mark's from Myriad Engineering. Mark, can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey, Mark. And Audrey Shearer from Spiral.
Kia ora.
Hi, Audrey. So this morning, these two business owners are classic examples of the innovation and the technology and the resilience that our local business community has. And it's a real pleasure to showcase to you 2 companies this morning who are very much part of this whole journey through COVID-19. Both have operated through alert level 4, but will be also very much part of our recovery for the months and years ahead. So we're hoping that this helps to give you a sense of some of the activity that's going on in the local business community and how important our tech, innovation and manufacturing spaces are for the challenges that we face. So what I will do this morning is I'll introduce you to Mark, and Mark will share with you some information about Myriad and Myriad's journey through COVID-19 to date, and maybe some going forward, and then we'll have some questions for Mark after his talk, and those questions will be displayed at the bottom of the screen so everyone can see them. So please pop your questions in the live comments, and then after we've done some questions with Mark, then we'll hand over to Audrey. I'll be a pleasure to introduce you to Audrey. Audrey's business, Spiral, owns a product called Spinnaker, and Spinnaker is the clinical trials software that's behind much of the COVID-19 research and clinical trials that are happening around the world. So we're very lucky to have Audrey with us today to share some of her insights into the work she's been doing, which is crucial, not well, for absolutely everybody on this planet, actually, and is another local business that we're delighted to showcase. So let's start this morning with Mark. Mark from Myriad Engineering. I'll hand over to you, Mark. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Helen, for the introduction. So essentially, we're a CNC manufacturer, machining components for other manufacturers all around the country, from Queenstown to Whangarei. The bulk of our business is the Wellington region, probably 60 to 65%, another 20-odd% in Hawke's Bay, and then the rest scattered all around the country. So we, when the lockdown got announced, we were in a bit of a fluster, I suppose, the best way to put it. And we need to get some more product out the door just to get our sales up for March as much as possible, and spent the time doing that and focusing on that. Once we got to D-Day, as it were, we'd luckily a year before put our IT into the cloud, so had the ability to operate from home, and I was able to still do quotes. Other people were able to order materials, communicate with customers, do whatever we needed to do. So over the ensuing week, we spent a lot of time backtracking and getting agreements with staff to reduce the wages to this 80%. And we actually went to 60% for a couple of weeks. So yeah, we hadn't achieved that before we went into lockdown, and sort of didn't even know we needed to, I suppose, initially. But so yeah, that took probably the first week to get our heads around that, get that sorted, get everybody on the same page, get the staff communicating. And then we set up regular communications with the staff. The war team, which was 5 of us, met 3 to 4 times a week on Teams or Zoom, and managed the issues as they arose, or just had a chat in general. How's it going? What's happening? But over the first week and a half, we had 7 of our customers come to us and provide us letters to say they're essential with NB numbers and all those things, and needed some work done. So then we had to get into action and work out how we're going to do that, arrange materials, which in itself took a while just to validate with suppliers that it was essential, send them all the documentation, get the orders placed, and get the materials in. So we tried to coordinate all that so we weren't in and out all the time, and that worked reasonably well. One of our factory manager actually was quite happy just to shoot into work and back. He only lives 5 minutes away, so he looked after the receiving of materials. And then once it was all there, we got up to 5 people in and progressed through the work. So then just getting them in, we had quite a procedure with how we could operate. Everybody, nobody could share the lunchroom. Was one at a time in there, one in the washroom at a time, all those things. The factory itself is reasonably easy. It's 1,000 square meters and well spread out. And even in normal times, there's pretty much nobody's working within a 2 meter radius of each other. So that was fine. It was just the ins and outs and how we access the factory. So the first one in, opened the door, left the roller door open so people could come in and out without touching anything. And then Fiona and I would go in every night and wash down door handles, toilets, all those things. So it worked reasonably well, and to some extent we're still doing the wash down on a daily basis, and we'll continue that for quite some time, if not forever. So during the lockdown, we sort of realised initially with the communicating of staff and getting the contract signed that we needed to maintain our communication. So we set up Zoom meetings with the staff and just touched base with them twice a week to see what was happening, how people were going. And generally it was more of a social chat. If there's anything significant from a business perspective, one of the war team would, or all of us would contribute what we'd been doing or was important that we needed to share. That worked fairly well, but it did sort of highlight a couple of issues that some people weren't as engaged as others. So out of that, and as we moved to sort of about halfway through level 4, was okay, what's happening once we get out of this? How are we operating? What are our key focuses now? We reset our strategic plan for the year, and by the time we came out of level 4, we'd re-established that. We'd put a presentation together which we called the 4 pillars of what was our key pillars to keep the company strong over the coming months, years. And one of the key pillars which we'd identified, and that sort of became obvious with the staff dealing with them through Zooms and technology, was we needed to work on the culture and make that stronger than it felt it was. So that's become one of our key takeaways, which involves everybody. And I suppose from my perspective is going to produce some really good results. People already have engaged in it well. We're working through everybody, probably finish early next week, with sitting down with them and establishing some KPIs and things they can be working on a, well, at this stage, a 2-monthly period, just so that everybody's feeling like they're contributing, I suppose, and understanding where they can contribute more than they possibly have, rather than just being a person that comes to work and does what they're told and doesn't contribute as much as they could. So we're just trying to open all that up and get the whole team really functioning well and then understanding the business more. So part of that is me or my general manager, Helen, presenting to the team meetings we have daily. We present to them once a week on just key things that are happening, what management's been doing, what the focuses are for the coming week, and also a little bit around just where we're at with our level of sales activity coming up. The forward orders are okay, but they're not fantastic. And that's because our customer base is manufacturers, and a lot of them are also exporters. So for them, it's an unknown as well in lots of cases. But there are some good stories out of it that are potentially going to give us some new work. I've been doing a lot of work with somebody I do prototyping with, who's looking to bring work back from China and do more in New Zealand. So we've spent a lot of time this week quoting components for a furniture system, which they are looking to do most of the manufacturing in New Zealand. So still working on taking cost out and a few other things to make it more viable in New Zealand than doing it from China, but looking very promising at the moment. We're actually doing some prototyping of that as well, but hoping to get the production sign off Friday or Monday. So really looking forward to that, because if we can get that and make that work, it just sort of shows that we can compete and hold ourselves up, and I suppose it's a sign that other companies might look to do the same thing. So really positive about that at this stage, and I'm hoping I've done the work I need to do to make that work. We'll find out. I suppose a lot of what we're still doing is working through modelling. I've never been one to watch my cash flow on a daily basis as much as I am now, and I've also set up new models and forecasting tools to monitor and manage our cash flow. It's going to get worse before it gets better from that perspective. So we've all the scenario planning has gone from weekly, monthly, quarterly, which would traditionally be monthly, and quarterly and yearly. Probably we're doing it a much more micro scale, and I've also set some budgets for my key managers to manage some of their areas that they can influence, tooling budgets, and some of our consumables and just the things that we fritter away, I suppose. Right, let's just be more aware of what the money is we're spending and when we're spending it and how it's being spent. Avoid spending it in the last week of the month. All those things just to improve cash flow and get other people more understanding of the impacts of their actions and spending. So for me, it's been a really good opportunity to feed that information out to the team and see who's ready to step up and buy into it and take advantage of the ones that are, especially to relieve me from that side of it a little bit and spread the load, because it creates more interest for them, hopefully, rather than just a burden as to what they've got to do, another task, etc. But I believe our team, especially our war team people, have really stepped up and taken the bull by the horns and wanting to make things work better. And that that's one of our strategies is to how do we make work better for all of us. Doesn't mean working faster, just working smarter. And we've just got to challenge each other all the way on that, and that'll be forever. And it probably has been, but we're just talking about it more than we have recently. So yeah, so I'm not sure that I should go further than that, but at the moment, really interested to see what happens today with the budget and what the government is going to do to support businesses over the next few months. And because it's going to be a few months before things settle, in my view. I communicated to all of our team yesterday that I think things are going to get tougher before they get better. I just don't know what the horizon is for that. So yeah, really unsure, and it's an uneasy time as a business owner, but we are getting there, and I believe we will shine at the end of it. Just don't know when that's going to be. Okay, so that's probably me for now. Thanks for that. Have you accessed? Yeah, so the support, yes, I've got the wage subsidy, and I've just applied for the IRD loan scheme last night, so don't expect too many troubles with that. So we'll get that and use that for some things we had planned to do, but have put on hold at this stage. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the next few days with that. But somebody I work with has applied for that on Tuesday and got the money yesterday. So I'm expecting a reasonably quick turnaround.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. That's really interesting for a really personal insight into what's happening in your business. So, thank you for sharing that with us, because it's, we're, as business owners, it can be a very lonely space to operate in, and in a manufacturing business like yours and engineering, it's a big space you've got there with some people in it. But you have to have a real leadership position. So it's fabulous to see that you've really worked on the culture. So that's great as well. I can see a couple of other questions coming through. So one of the ones about the support that was asked previously, how about, did you access any support for changing the culture, like some of the advisory funding that was coming through from Wellington NZ, the support grants that were there?
Yeah, so with the support grant, we have accessed that. So we've accessed that through, I can't think of the terms of what it was under, but we are working with the Alternative Board, and we've accessed it through that to help us with modelling the business, doing all those things, and we're also have an app, I suppose, the best way to call it, called Performance Culture, which we're managing our performance culture with, and everybody is interacting with that app and doing their check-ins weekly or fortnightly on that. All their KPIs and things are set up in that. So I get to see them and review them as they do them, as well as their direct managers. So that's working really well, because it's just something I can just sit down at night and just review what people have done that day, and pick on the issues and follow them up as needed. And I can actually give them comments online as well, so they've got them, they're there for another day. But yeah, so that's something we started using with the management team late last year, and we'll just introduce it to the whole team.
Great. And what's the name of that app, Mark?
Performance Culture.
Performance Culture. Great. Thanks very much. I haven't heard of that. So I see there's another question there too, Mark, from... I mean, other than, give us the opportunity to do some work if it's going to China or somewhere else, I'm not sure. I mean, I suppose I'm not really in the business of trying to just chase work around the place if it's coming from our competitors that are around the corner. That doesn't seem to be that constructive in the bigger picture. But definitely, if there's work that's being done in China that could be done here, I'd love to have a crack and see what we can do to get it back. And there's several of us in our space that would be in the same position, really keen to show locals that we can compete with China on some product and some types of work. In terms of picking up work that may have previously been sent overseas, what sort of areas do you think that a business like yours competes on best? Is it like time to market, or?
Yeah, our service, Well, traditionally people that go to China buy bigger quantities, so they're having to, buy more product, store it, all those sorts of things. We can do it just in time, Kanban, whatever the need. So you can manage lower stock levels, less handling, less all those other insignificant costs you don't really think about. I think they're probably the key things. Just the lead time, the risk of product design changing, and you've got old stock you've got to rework, all those sorts of things. Which it doesn't matter how clever you are, people have been involved, or we often get product to fix or change.
Product that's been made elsewhere,
Yeah.
overseas.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The one other area I think that has come through quite clearly during the lockdown, level 4 and level 3, is the importance of local relationships. And I certainly know in your business, some of the relationships you've got with your business, your other manufacturers who you work for, that's really, useful to have such strong relationships.
Yeah, and we, I suppose I try to think as with our key customers anyway, that we're just an extension of their business. We're part of their supply chain, and we bend over backwards to do what they need in times of urgency or whatever. If they have a breakdown, we'll jump and do what we need to do as if it was their own workshop. And we're doing that all the time. We're doing a bit of prototyping at the moment. So rushing things around the country, getting them anodized and off to the customers yesterday and today. So really doing what we can to speed the process up, make things happen so everybody can, I suppose at the end of the day, make the sale and we get the next job as well.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Mark. So if you've got any more questions for Mark will join us at the end after we've spoken with Audrey. So keep putting those questions in that comment stream on your Facebook page. So thank you, Mark. And can I now introduce you to Audrey Shearer, who owns Spiral. So Spiral is a Hutt Valley-based business, but with people all over the country, a diverse team that is working from home normally. So, and Audrey is the owner of this business and has had it for many, many years. So, Audrey, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you're extremely busy with the COVID-19 clinical trials. I know you've been working extreme hours to help the whole medical industry in face of this challenge. But I really appreciate you taking the time today and sharing a little bit about what's happening in your part of this world. Thank you, Audrey.
Thanks, Helen. Kia ora, everybody. So at Spiral, what we're doing is we're helping researchers find answers to medical questions, and we do that with our adaptable software, our deep understanding of the sort of market that they're in, and our cheerful support. And unlike others, we can adapt our software platform for novel trials. So novel trials are medical studies that use innovative design methods. And our biggest end user is ICUs in Australia and New Zealand, intensive care units. Our software is also used in Ireland, in the UK, in Europe, Canada, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and soon in the USA. So that's the end user, but our client is really Crown research organisations and universities who are doing research, not pharma, so academic research. And when COVID-19 came along earlier this year, we were very well placed to react to that in a couple of ways. First of all, our software platform, and I'll talk about that later. And secondly, the fact that Spiral has been a distributed business and the whole team have been working from home or from shared offices for the last 4 years. So we have, people, Napier, Wellington, Upper Hutt, and we've just had somebody new join us from Dunedin. So I'm fortunate to be in a situation where I've been hiring people. So where did it all begin? It all began, so Spiral was sort of in the business of doing business integration software, and we were asked to have a look at basically at a clinical trial for the Medical Research Institute of New Zealand, and I went and had a look at what they needed, and we had experience with business integration, but not in the clinical trial area. But we're also used to adapting and being nimble and quick on our feet, and so we put in a tender for that, and we got the work, and so that we were off with our first clinical trial. And what we brought to that particular project was all our other work. We brought what we knew from outside of the medical industry into the clinical trial, and it was a bit different, and people liked it. And the upshot of that was we had doctors around New Zealand who'd been using our software saying to their colleagues in Australia, "Gosh, you need to use this software. Try it out." And so very quickly we moved into Australia, and Australia is our biggest client base at the moment. We have 3 clients in New Zealand, and we also have 1 client in Sweden. So what are we doing for COVID-19? So we've got a project called Remap Cap, which is it's a special kind of clinical trial. It uses an innovative design to test multiple treatments. So most people are familiar with the randomized controlled trial where you compare treatment A with treatment B. Well, Remap Cap actually has 28 different treatments in it, and our logic, along with some statistics, means that we can get some meaningful results out of that. Now, that trial's been running for a couple of years, and we started talking to the operations team on that probably 3 or 4 years ago, and right at the beginning there was a pandemic kind of element to the project. So Remap Cap, the second part of that acronym, CAP, stands for Community Acquired Pneumonia, and we all knew that an influenza pandemic was coming, and when people in an influenza pandemic, people with severe respiratory problems end up in ICU, and so Remap Cap was designed right from the beginning to have this kind of pandemic element for influenza. Oh, that bit was right. The bit that was wrong was that it was a coronavirus, or it is a coronavirus pandemic. So we had to do a few adaptations, which we were able to do earlier in the year, and adapt the study so that we were looking at, we're asking a few different questions because it was coronavirus rather than influenza. Since then, because we've got this platform up and running in so many ICUs, because as a team we're able to adapt really quickly, we're able to adapt the software as well. The hospitals in Europe basically wanted to start using our software for their research patients. We also had clinical researchers around the world wanting to have their questions answered, so we've had to add so many different treatments. Meanwhile, along the way, we've had issues with being GDPR compliant, so that because there's patient privacy issues in Europe. Luckily, most of that was done last year. We had some insurance things to take care of. Yeah, we have been working long hours, and the team, I'm fortunate that's to be surrounded by some really dedicated people who, really believe in what we're doing. And obviously the end game is to find some answers, and that the outcome from Remap Cap will hopefully be 1 or more treatments that can be used to help people who've got COVID-19 and either shorten their stay in ICU or make them better completely, which would be the best outcome. Yeah, I think it's probably enough from me. Be good to hear some questions. Right, so working in a distributed way. So the first thing as a business owner when you're working in a distributed way is to make sure that you're not the hub in the middle of a wheel, that you know, getting the team to talk to each other and share things. And it's, most people are probably doing that now, but lots of actually talking, lots of we use Slack, using lots of online tools to make, and shared online tools so that people within the organization can see what's happening for other people in the organization, avoiding that kind of silo thing. And we don't use email internally. So if somebody needs to speak to someone else in the team, they either have to send them a Slack message or call them or something like that. So just to keep the communication going. And we have meetups as well. Sorry, we have a couple of meetups a year where we get face to face and have a bit of fun and thrash out what we're going to do with the software for the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever. And you know, I can talk to the team together about which direction the company's going in. So those things are really difficult to do online.
Thank you, Audrey. So, you know, your world around clinical trials and working on REMAP CAP and all the other trials you've done in the intensive care space are quite a foreign world to most people. I know, you know, there was a big learning curve right at the beginning. But when you look at COVID-19, how many treatments, are there a certain number of treatments that are being tested at the moment using Spinnaker? Or
we've got 28 different treatments at the moment. And they're grouped. We're treating in the antibiotic area, antivirals, immune modulation, convalescent plasma, and even actually, this is interesting, is intravenous vitamin C. That's a real thing.
Wow. Awesome. So there's been some publicity around the use of vitamin C, hasn't there? So that's great to see that there's some trials in that space. And what sort of countries is Spinnaker being used in, did you say, for the treatments at the moment, for the testing of the treatments?
New Zealand, Australia is our sort of home base. And so it's just any ICU in Australia or New Zealand that's doing research is probably using our software. And then Saudi Arabia, there's been a big uptake in Canada, a big uptake in Ireland, and the UK and Europe as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned the USA. Is that new?
Yes, the USA is new, and there are hospitals coming in to use REMAP CAP, and we have another study called REMAP COVID, which the USA is going to come in for in a big way. Yeah, it's
sorry, Audrey. I didn't pull a face, but to me, yeah, I was thinking that must be terrifying. So
it's vaguely terrifying, but you know, you just go on with it. We know what we're doing. We know our business, and I had somebody new start yesterday, so we're gearing up for it. We'll be good.
Okay, so can I ask Mark, Hannah, can you pop Mark back on it as well? So it's really interesting, actually. I think both of you have acknowledged the uncertainty and the challenge that is ahead, but you're both so, I don't know, you're just so brave about it, really. I know you're dealing with all this uncertainty, but there doesn't seem to be there's uncertainty, but not doubt, actually. Mark, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I suppose you've got to back yourself a little bit, don't you? I mean, I suppose I'm of the view that we'll find new work if we need to somehow. Probably a bit early to be going out chasing that sort of thing at the moment, but I think we've got a reasonable reputation, and if we just get the focus towards finding new work, we'll find it. We always have in the past. And And some of our customers are going to grow, and some are going to slow, I suppose is the best way to put it. And it's just knowing who they are at the moment is really difficult. But we deal with some people in the horticultural space with packaging and picking and all those things. There's much more automation being talked about now than there was, and there was already quite a lot. And they're already starting to talk about work 2 years away. So they're getting loaded up quite a lot. And a lot of it will be new technology, new techniques on how to, especially in the pack houses, trying to do it with infrared and all those sorts of things, take the labour out, because the labour is not going to be as easy to bring in to New Zealand at the times they need it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and some of that stuff, really, really, hopefully we can be part of.
Yeah. And Audrey, looking forward for your business. I know you're based at home from Eastbourne, and you've got your whole team spread out across the country now. So, what do you think? How long do you think COVID-19 trials go on for? I mean, I know they're normally long-term trials. Remap Cap's been a couple of years, hasn't it? Some of your others have gone on for many years.
I'm getting different messages from our clients. So I've got, but none of our clients are expecting to stop COVID-19 research until 12 months down the track at least. Some of them are talking about 18 months to 2 years. And we've had to put a lot of work on hold. So we've got to bring that on board, and we're going to be busy for quite some time on that. I was thinking about, being in business is a bit of a journey, really, and I was thinking about that. When you're going somewhere in the car, the bridge is washed out for some reason. You take an alternative route, and COVID-19 is a bit like the bridge has been washed out, and we're lucky we've got petrol in the car, and we're going to know where we're going, and we've got good people, in the car, for instance. So we're driving up the river. We're going to find a way around it, and we'll be right. And there's some. Yeah, I'm hoping we'll get some treatments out of this, out of Remap Cap, and that's going to help as well. Yeah, and we'll be enrolling patients out of ICU as well in a couple of months. So there'll be some sort of more moderate treatments as part of the study as well.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I think we haven't got any more questions coming through, but can I thank you both for all the effort that you're putting in? Actually, I mean, I know you both really well, and I knew that you'd be a great combination of different types of businesses that we've got in the Hutt Valley, but you give us a real sense of possible and of future and of resilience. So can I thank you so much for what you're doing in your own businesses and for your clients. It's important to all of us, and we talk about innovation and we talk about technology and we talk about manufacturing, but actually even me listening to the both of you this morning just see how crucial innovation is now and how it really matters to all of us. What you're doing to supply other businesses, but also for our whole community, and actually even globally, Audrey, the work you're doing in COVID-19 actually matters to every single person on this planet. So thank you so much for sharing your time. Wish you all the best, and if there's anything the Chamber can do, then please let us know. If you have any other questions, anybody, can you please pop them in the comment stream, and we'll talk to try and get those answered for you at some time. So thank you so much. Thank you to the BNZ for being our long-term partner with the Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce to help us bring these technology events to you. We appreciate, Phil, all your ongoing support. Sorry you can't join us today due to some internet issues, but yeah, thank you again for your ongoing support. Thank you to Mark and Audrey, and I'm sure we'll all be tuning in at 2 o'clock to see how we look going forward in terms of this budget. So thanks very much, and hope to see you both in real life soon. Thanks.
Thank you.